Joe Rice, as we do the Pledge of Allegiance tonight.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we pray? Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to be together, and we just pray for your guidance in all the business that is discussed and what comes before us for the benefit of the kids in our community. Just thank you for your presence in Jesus' name. Amen. I have 7:35 tonight for all the order. And it looks like first up is the recognition of the students of the month.
Yep. Let's go ahead and start with elementary school, please.
All right. So tonight, our elementary students of the month are Jacqueline Ferguson and Luther Scroggins. So Jacqueline, if you want to come on up here, I'll give you your certificate. Talk a little bit about you. Okay, so Jacqueline was chosen as Student of the Month because of her positive attitude and willingness to help others. Her cheerful attitude is a bright spot in our day, and I know I can always count on Jacqueline to find solutions in difficult situations. We appreciate her sense of humor, and we are so grateful to have her as part of our school family. Her enthusiasm is contagious. Mrs. Milnes also states that Jacqueline has shown growth in being a fourth grade student. She does her personal best when attending to her classwork. She asks for help when she doesn't understand something, and she is a great friend and shows compassion to her peers. Jacqueline has shown growth in looking at things with a positive attitude. So congratulations to Jacqueline. All right, and our next student of the month is Luther Scroggins. Luther, do you want to come on up here? Okay, this is Luther, and Luther was chosen because he is such a good helper and he has grown so much this year. He used to be shy, but now his smile and excitement for school make him a wonderful role model for other students to follow. He has exceptional manners, as you can see, and he always holds the door for others, and he is always looking for ways to help others. We always look forward, Luther, to seeing your smile each and every single day. Mrs. Bush states, if our classroom was an ice cream sundae, Luther would be the cherry on top because he is bright and cheerful, and our group would not be complete without him. Lately, I have been impressed with how well he remembers his shapes and how hard he tries to stay focused in class. He is always looking for ways to help out and make his school a better place. I am very proud of our relationship, and I am very blessed to be his teacher. So congratulations, Luther. All right. Is it okay if I do middle school while I'm up here?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
So yeah, Amanda's going to do the middle school first today. Mr. Hall couldn't be here, so go right ahead.
Okay. All right. So Mrs. Chitwood and the fifth grade teachers have 2 nominations for this month, Cheyenne Barr and Easton Wyatt. You can both come up here together so I can talk about what Mrs. Chitwood has to say. And Easton. All right. Okay, so both of these students attend school regularly. In fact, I cannot think of a day they have been absent. They always have their materials for class and homework assignments. Projects are turned in on time. They work extremely hard on their academics and take pride in doing their absolute best. Cheyenne is a perfectionist, but in the best way. She wants to do her best so she can get the best grade that she can. She has a bubbly, happy personality and always has a smile on her face. Easton is one of the few that received 100% in all 4 subjects. I believe he is at the top of the 5th grade class. He works extremely hard. He puts forth the extra work on his projects that really sets his work apart from everyone else. Easton is also funny, outgoing, and kind. Nice job to Cheyenne and Easton. Keep up the good work. And Mr. Alt says that he is sorry he could not be here, but he is so proud of both of you. So congratulations.
Good evening. The high school would like to recognize, first off, Chloe Todd. I don't see her, so I'll just go ahead and read what we wrote about her. Chloe was nominated by Mrs. Butler. Mrs. Butler writes, Chloe is a consistent hard worker. She is pleasant and cooperative. She will try anything asked of her without a complaint. I've never had to worry about her effort or her behavior. Congratulations to Chloe. The second student that was nominated was Aiden Sparks. Aiden Sparks was nominated by Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Rodriguez says that Aiden is not enrolled in his band class, but has willingly offered to help us out in any way possible. This shows his dedication to the program and the enjoyment he has playing percussion, even though he isn't currently enrolled. He is a great help to new percussionists and continues to succeed in outside aspects of music. He was the only student in the Eastern Green High School band who went to state solo and ensemble and received a gold with distinction, the best rating that you can receive. His dedication and helpfulness are outstanding. So congratulations to Aiden Sparks. Thank you.
Okay, next up we have a special presentation by Tracy Crane about high school club soccer. So please come on up.
Hi. I just wanted to thank, number one, the board for letting me speak. Number two, I wanted to thank Mr. Kirkendall and Buskirk for meeting with me about a couple months ago, and Mr. Provo for setting this up. And there's a lot of parents here that were supporting, so I'm encouraged. There's a lot of support, and thank you, Coach Moffitt, for kind of starting the community middle school league this past fall. It was very successful. We had, I think, so many kids that you had to turn people away. It was really awesome. They did really well. They played in a tournament. It was so much fun to watch them. A lot of newbies. It was very painful to watch. And then, very painful. There were a few that could play, but it was overall, I think we beat Bloomfield 3 times, and they started last year, so that was kind of fun. I don't know why it's good to beat Bloomfield. It's something new that I'm kind of learning since I've moved here. This is my 3rd year here at Eastern, and it's kind of, I don't know why, it felt good. They're co-ed league. They're both co-ed teams, so there were girls and guys on the team. So we had, I think our team had 5th graders, 1 or 2 5th graders, maybe just 1 5th grader, and then through 8th grade. So it was pretty intense. You had 8th grade big boys against a little tiny 5th grade girl, but it was fun. This winter they played indoor soccer and have been getting demolished by major soccer teams, the Cutters, the 08, 09 Cutters teams. They kept coming back for more. I don't understand, but they did. I don't know if it was like a social Friday night thing, but they just kept coming back. We had to split the teams in 2. We probably could have split it in 3, but that would have not probably been wise because you want to kind of keep the good, some decent players together. We even got to play, WRV was our last team to play in the indoor season. It was so exciting to talk to the coach. I said, this is WRV because yes, these kids drove all the way here, they play indoor. And I think that was not such a demolish. It was actually a really good game. I think kind of our kids felt a little relieved because they were like, oh, a lot of these kids are new too, and they did really well. Why I'm here tonight is because there are about 8 8th graders who are moving up into the high school. And they want to keep playing. there is soccer fever. World Cup is coming this summer to Qatar. World Cup for women's is going to New Zealand next summer. So there's a lot of, I mean, we're in Greene County, but if you're in Bloomington or anywhere else, a bigger city, you would obviously feel that excitement. I'm hoping Greene County will feel that excitement soon in a bigger way. We have Bloomfield, WRV, I don't know, North Knox. I don't know if, well, they're in Knox County, but there are several. I think those are the 3 Greene County teams, WRV, Bloomfield, and hopefully us. So that's why I'm here tonight. I want to present the idea of starting soccer at the high school level. So I know that there are probably some barriers to that. I don't know. I just know that I think it's been presented before many times in the past. At least I know 2 different times, maybe not to the board, but I think some students have in the past have tried to get soccer going at the high school level and without success. So because we have such a great interest, I'm here tonight to present it to the board to somehow support us, or I don't even know what it takes to get there. I've never done this before. I don't know if it's a cost issue. I don't know what it is. We had a great talk about where we would practice, you know, things like that, where we would play, because obviously the football team, I don't even think they practice on the football field. And so last year they practiced on my farm, the middle school team. This year I think we have some other options, which I'm excited about. High school, we kind of discussed another option. So it would not be the football field, so I just want to make that, you know, obviously the football team can't practice on that field, so obviously we wouldn't. It would be great to play a game or 2 on the football field and charge people for admission, do concessions, things like that. So that's kind of the vision for if we did get a team and where they would play. I did a survey. The reason for the survey is because I felt like, after talking, we need to prove, is there enough interest to form a team, a solid team? It's gonna be co-ed. After I looked at the survey, there's just not enough girl interest, at least in the 65 kids who filled it out of the, how many kids are in high school?
319.
Right, 319 kids that the survey went out to, only 65 filled it out. And of the 65 kids, this is amazing too. So this kind of gave me a lot of encouragement. I would get on there, my daughter and I would click and see what the results like every day. There were 19, not out of the survey. Of the survey, there were 14. 5 of them who played for us in 8th grade, who want to play, didn't fill it out. So I've included them in the 19. 14 from the survey who were definitely interested. I was shocked because I thought most of those kids were the 8th grade kids that played. I thought at least half of, 8 of them, but 5 of them didn't fill it out. Of those, 7 are cross-country runners. I would include my daughter. 2 played football. I think they were kind of, so we ranked it 1 to 5. How interested are you? 5 to basically I'm not interested, which is basically 1. And they had to fill out whether they were interested at all, and then once they clicked that, it gave them an option. So I don't know why someone would say they were interested in soccer and then hit 1. They were least likely to try out. But and the 3 at the bottom 3, so 1 and 2, surely they're going to play, were females. They never played sports before, so that was kind of a bummer because I was hoping to see more females fill it out. One of the football players was a 3, so I was kind of riding the fence. And then there were 14 that were 4 and 5. Okay, so 14 to 15 kids that were solid, I'd like to play. Of those, I think, was it only 3 that were middle schoolers? The rest were high schoolers, which was, again, shocking. I thought, after telling the kids, fill this out, because I wanted, you got to show numbers. They didn't. 5 of the middle schoolers did not. So we got 19 who are extremely interested. We'll see if so interest obviously is not an issue. You can almost form 2 teams at this point, a JV and a varsity, so I don't think interest is an issue. So with that, I guess my big question to you guys, because I don't want to start going down this whole path of why I think it should be and why I shouldn't. I guess the biggest issue and the biggest question I have for you guys, if maybe somebody could tell me why it's never been why it's never been allowed to start in the first place, and what is the biggest barrier to starting soccer. Because again, of all these kids that filled it out in the fall sports, I should clarify, 2 were football players, 1 actually played middle school soccer with us, and 1 was a high school football player. That's the football. That would be a, what do you call it? Conflict of interest, or you might competition. I think there were no volleyball players, and the rest were cross-country players, or cross-country runners, which is a base for soccer. You run 5 miles in a soccer game easily, so they go hand in hand. We can work with Coach Valentine, he's awesome, he's great. So I just want to ask you guys, and whoever's been here the longest, because I think it's been several, I know one parent in particular, several years ago, whose son wanted to also start. So can you tell me as a community member, and by the way, my name's Tracy Crane, what is the barrier to starting this high school team? It cannot be club.
They tried this several years ago. Who was our Abramov? Pavel was going to be the coach. He had played soccer his whole life. And they sent a survey out and they just couldn't get the kids interested in it. So, I mean, they have, high school has in the past, tried to get it lined out.
Okay, so it's interest.
So,
Okay. Well, that obviously I addressed already. I guess we can't do club. And the reason why is because if we did club, you'd have Cutters and FC Alliance, who are club teams, beating every high school team. Because they would basically select all the best players, they'd be a club team, and they would play all the high school teams. It's illegal. You cannot have a club team in a high school sport. So we wouldn't do a club, kind of like middle school is kind of a community league club, but you can't have a club team because most club teams draw from, you just can't do that. It would be like having a travel baseball team play. Okay, we're gonna select, okay, now we're gonna make it an Eastern Green High School travel baseball team who will play other high schools. You just can't do that. It has to be a high school league team.
It would have to be a high school sport.
Yes, school-sponsored sport. I'm pretty sure unless somebody knows some other thing I don't know, but I was trying to look on the website and try to figure that out. So besides that, I don't know anything about money. I have no idea where the money comes from or where it goes or all the different, categories. I have no idea. So maybe someone could comment on, is money an issue, cost, or?
It's hard to comment when we don't know what we're looking at. So
Oh.
that's where some research really needs to go into.
Okay, do you want me to go? Because I did do that too.
Yeah.
I just thought maybe I'm taking up a lot of time. My husband said make it quick.
Is this
So I can get
format-
real windy.
Also, Tracy, that you can email to us so that we can have
Oh.
it for future reference.
Yeah,
as
sure.
we look at this. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no
that would be very helpful.
Right now, do you want me to just kind of go over really quick?
Yeah, just give us
Oh,
my
yeah.
highlights.
Okay, so basically jerseys, home and away. How much did those kids
$30. That's all
for
they
2
said.
jerseys? Okay, so, depending on how many kids. So that's what, 30 times, let's say you had 20 kids, that's $600. Okay. Balls, practice balls. I mean, surely kids can bring their own soccer ball. Okay. They'll have their own shin guards, that kind of stuff. There's no really a lot of equipment needed. Just goals. We can have a practice goal where we're setting up practices. That a really good solid game goal is about $1,500. So if we did decide to, let's say, have a couple home games here at the beginning at the high school, you would need to invest in 2 really decent goals. If we decided not to use that field and go to Cars Park and pay to rent their field, it was about $100?
$80 a game.
$80. Did that include the refs?
No.
No, yeah. So refs, you're looking at probably,
$40 a game.
how much is it, 40?
I paid them 50, but they charge 40.
Right, typically it's about typically it's like 100, you give like. It's fine. Typically you have three referees. You have a center referee, you have two linemen. I'm not sure about this WIAC league. They should have three there, and typically it's, I know in the past, just my personal experience in Arizona, it was about $100. You gave 25 to each sideline, and then one for the centers, 50. That would be for home games. We don't have to necessarily have a home game the first year. Also, I haven't spoke with Bloomfield. I think that they have a soccer field over there, and it's separate from natural school. But that would be even a possibility, is to say, hey, can we rent this as a home game against you guys, and then you could do your home game. You know, we could just have two games against Bloomfield, one away, one home there at that. That way we can charge people and make some money on that game, because if we're at Karst, we can't charge. You need flags. They're about $30 for 4 corner flags. Paint to mark the field. Malpractice insurance, I'm not really sure. I know that there are other sports that are probably 10 times as much as soccer. Soccer's very inexpensive. You know, there's very little overhead cost. Malpractice, I have no idea about that. I guess Buskirk would know that? Yeah. And then the only last thing is coach's salary, or coaches. That would be something optional. If we hired someone, and that you'd probably get a better field of applicants if they were getting paid, depending on, you know, I have a few in mind who are more than qualified, who I don't think that they would even, I don't think they would probably take money. But still, that's just something that you can consider, you know. So yeah, so you're looking at a total of about $4,500 for equipment, roughly. And then the coach's salary on top of that, that was something, I mean, yeah. Is that pretty good ballpark?
Yeah, how much transportation do you think the team would need to games and things like that? That would play a role in cost?
Yes, it would. So, especially now with gas prices. So would it be better to just have a home game? Would it be cheaper to have a home game? You get to charge people, and then, but you're not spending all that money on gas money. Instead, people come to you and you just pay the referees at that point. I mean, I'd love to have a lot of home games. I just don't know. I mean, I think another thing, we kind of talked about, you know, sharing the football field when game time comes, and the concern for tearing up fields and stuff like that. Soccer fields typically are beautifully groomed fields. You just don't see a lot of tearing up of fields. It has to be. The ball, in order for the ball to move, it has to be smooth. I mean, honestly, Bloomfield's field is an old hay field or something. I mean, it's not in very good shape at all. The only places where the fields tend to wear are in front of the goals. And in a football field, just from experience playing, it tends to be in the end zone, right? Because the soccer field's bigger than a football field. So you're going to have probably, if you play enough times, which I don't think that in one game it's going to tear up the whole end zone, but just in front of the goal, and it would be in the end zones. So it wouldn't even be on the playing field or the football field. So if football, you know, football was really concerned about us using that field for a home game, that would be the most concern, is the tear up in the sides. I honestly, it would probably be the other way around. I think a soccer team would be more concerned about playing on the football field because of injury and because of all the divots and the rough. The center of the football field gets tore up. That's where the ball does all kinds of things. People hurt their ankles, so it's kind of the other way around. In which case, we might again come up with different options. So I'm just talking about in the future. Those are details we can work out if we choose to go the direction of starting a team.
So you mentioned that a lot of the potential players would be younger and wouldn't be able to provide themselves with transportation to and from practice. And so, knowing that you're probably not going to get to practice on site, how do you foresee those kids getting to a site to practice?
Well, my hope is that they'll practice at the middle school. The baseball field is a beautiful field that we can play on and put the goal in the outfield or the infield, so that it doesn't get tore up. The field does not ever get tore up. So that was kind of our discussion. So they would need a ride from the high school. Maybe a bus could take them over to the middle school, or I don't know how the bus drop Does the high
There's a
school?
bus that transports from the
Okay,
high
yeah,
school.
because I know the cross-country middle school kids get dropped off there so that was our original thinking. And if it had to be later, that might work even better with cross-country kids that are practicing. I think cross-country kids are gonna get plenty of running in during soccer practice. They probably will wanna go to cross-country practice, honestly, to get a break. So,
Any other questions?
Oh, how many games, like, per season? I know in this area, since there's limited amount of teams,
there's not a limited amount, there's actually a lot of teams, believe it or not. Clay City, North Knox. North Knox is the other 2A school around here that has both football and soccer and volleyball and cross country. So it's a very small school. They do offer both during the fall, which is great because the biggest thing about soccer is it's the most inclusive sport. It is the #1 sport in the world besides America. It doesn't matter if you're big, small, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter size, whether you're tall or short. There's no advantage to being, 300 pounds or 50 pounds. You just gotta be able to run and go around people. So one of the most professional, best players in the world is small. He's a very, very little guy. And he doesn't have to touch anybody because he goes around them. So it's really beautiful to watch that because it doesn't matter. Size does not matter.
I mean, are you like 10 games in a season?
I have no idea because I don't know enough about high school. I don't know about high school. I don't know a whole lot about the high school schedule, but I mean, we would have to work it out. I think the biggest thing is we need to either decide soon because what happens is SWIAC then starts to get their stuff ready and they have a tournament and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, they do have a tournament?
They do, I believe so, yeah. Yeah. So you're right, the team is very young, but there are some older kids. Actually, I was like, one of them didn't fill it out. I was like, fill it, and they're like, what are you talking about? Like, it's on your email. That were interested. There are some, like I said, of these 14, only 3 were middle schoolers who were interested. So there are like, what, 11 high schoolers that are interested. I just, and then you have 8th grade. 1 is a girl, the rest are boys in that 8th grade group. So there's plenty of interest. Again, that's 65 kids who filled it out. I have no idea who will actually show up if we decide to go. It would be really amazing if we had enough kids to form a JV and a varsity. So, any other questions or?
What I would suggest, Tracy, is send us all the notes that you've got. And I've written down some questions that I'll respond to,
Okay.
reply back to you for some things just to, follow up with Eric and with Aaron and try to get some answers to some of those things. And that way we can see kind of everything in one spot.
Yeah,
So
no
I
problem.
appreciate that.
Would you like a copy of the survey too that I did?
That would be great.
Okay,
Yeah,
I kind of broke down the different numbers that don't show up on the survey, but I can still add those in.
Yeah,
Okay,
that'd be great.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I forgot to say that. So yeah, any of the students of the month who are still here, if you wish to go, please do so. We know we've got homework and dinner and all that good stuff at home, so thank you for coming.
All right, first thing is the adoption of agenda. It's recommended that the agenda for the March 21 meeting be approved as presented with additions, corrections, or deletions as recommended by the board. Any changes, corrections, other than a couple of late items? Okay. Seek motion? Matt? Second, Scott? All 4? Passes 7-0. Recommended that the minutes from the February 14th, 2022 meeting be approved as presented. Seek a motion for that. Heather? Second? Matt? All those for? You weren't here.
Oh, okay. So I'm not for it.
So 601. And approval of claims, it's recommended that the claims numbers 14459 through
14574.
Be approved as presented. That's the motion. Mike? Second? Heather? All those for? That's the 7-0. Participation at school board meetings. I'm not going to read the entire page, but these are the guidelines. This is our policy. And in regards to this, also know that House Bill 1130 was passed, and we're still waiting on information around public participation at meetings based on the bill that was passed. So right now, I believe everything that we allow and do is in line with how it was passed in the House, in the Senate, in Indiana. So unless something changes, this will be our policy going forward as well. But if something were to change, we will certainly make that known. So is there anyone tonight who would like to speak?
Sorry, I haven't read through this, but I believe last meeting, a gentleman asked if we could remove where the public comment is displayed in the agenda so that we could actually hear about topics before we comment on them.
We're going to approach that in a couple different ways, and I wrote out some things here. I did a bunch of research at all the different school boards, and I attended a meeting with our regional other board presidents last week, and the overwhelming majority is that all the comments are done up front. So we will keep ours there. But at the same time, what we are going to do, and you'll be able to see it tonight, in that I've asked Trent to be much more forthcoming with the information that we have so that you can see it. So you'll see, instead of just a recommendation to approve the Neola policies, you'll see paragraph of explaining what we're doing. The same with the school calendar, you're going to see information that explains what we're doing. So we're not trying to keep you from being able to comment, at the beginning or the end, but we do want to be more forthcoming with the information so that when you read it, you'll have a little better idea of what we've been presented with so that you know what we're doing.
Thank you.
Okay? So. All right. Okay.
So our first agenda item is basically the second reading or the recommendation to approve the Neola policies from last month that had the first reading. So that's policy update, volume 31, number 2. Just put some information in here just to make sure everybody understands what Neola is all about and how they serve us. So the first reading of these policies was on the agenda for February 14th, 2022. Neola is used widely by schools throughout the Midwest. Their lawyers review policy yearly to keep schools current with state and federal policy changes. Neola sends us updates with their suggested changes. The superintendent shows the suggested changes to the board, and together we make the determination if the changes should be recommended for adoption. If we adopt the changes, then we will be assisted by Neola's legal staff if we are ever challenged legally. We would not have that same coverage if we did not adopt the changes. Saying that, we still review the suggested changes to make sure the policies are good for our students, staff, and community. Most of the time, these policy changes are small and deal with wording. The current policy change recommendations are on the school website along with the board agenda. You can also access school board policies on the Eastern Green website. You go to the home page, click on district, then click on Board of Education, and then you click on board policy under links. So just trying to describe kind of how Neola works. We do this several times throughout the year because just, how law is, things change. It can be as simple as a very tiny word, and it changes, and we have to deal with it. So we're probably going to have these coming up in the next few months to deal with as things change, and we're actually trying to play a little bit of catch up from some past policy updates that basically from the pandemic we got a little bit behind on some of those. So that's my recommendation, is to adopt those policy updates.
Okay. Scott, motion or question?
No, motion.
All right.
Trying to keep it moving.
Second? Sharon? All those for? 7-0 pass.
Okay. Next up is the school calendar. To edit that school calendar for the 22-23 school year. I'm recommending that the 22-23 school calendar include 4 professional development days, that's 2 each semester, to provide for teacher training. The professional development days are recommended to be September 26th, October 31st, January 23rd, and March 27th. It is being recommended that these be actual days off for students, as we will be applying for a waiver of instructional minutes from the State Board of Education. We provide more minutes of instruction in all of our buildings than what is required by the DOE, so we are petitioning to create our school calendar using minutes instead of days. A lot of schools in the state have been going to this for this very reason right here, to provide some more professional development time for our teachers. If this petition is not approved, which I highly doubt it would be, from what I've seen, the State Board of Education is pretty much saying that's okay as long as you meet the criteria, you can show what your school day is. If this petition is not approved, then these days will become e-learning days. Now, saying that, some of you may have seen that the legislators snuck in a last-minute bill on e-learning days. I believe it was Bill 1093, where they're limiting schools to only 3 e-learning days next year. The DOE says that they are going to try to create a waiver that will both meet the law but allow the schools some flexibility in those e-learning days. So we're supposed to find out more in April from the State Department of Education on what that waiver is going to look like and what kind of flexibility it might give us. So as I said, saying that, we need to wait and see what the guidance from the state is going to be on e-learning days. But that is my recommendation based off of the information we got back from the survey we put out.
Yeah, so explain to that the late start will go away.
That is eliminating. the
Correct.
start.
Correct, okay.
That will eliminate late start. There will be, if this passes, there will be a new updated calendar put on the website probably as soon as tomorrow if this passes.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, seek a motion. Scott? Second? Matt? All those for? Passes 7-0. Thank you.
Next up, we have a couple of retirements. I want to say right off the bat, thank both of these staff members for many years of service to our students. Just when you have some long-time employees retire, it's sad to see them go, but it's also, you're happy for them because they've done a great job and they can go and enjoy retirement. So first up is a recommendation to approve the retirement of Gail Finn as high school English language arts teacher effective May 1st, 2022. Just to remind the board and anybody who knows Gail, Gail has been on a much abbreviated contract this year, so it's not putting us in any way, any hardship. We're not losing a teacher that we have to replace by her retiring as of May 1st. She's been on that, like I said, a very abbreviated contract. She's going to finish up what days she had on her contract on May 1st, and so it's not creating any holes at the high school whatsoever.
Let's see, I need a motion. Sharon? Second? Martha? All those for? Passes 7-0.
And next up, recommendation to approve the retirement of Teresa Butler as high school special education teacher at the end of the 21-22 contractual school year.
Motion?
With sadness.
Sadness? Sharon?
Vote against it.
Yeah. No.
Need a second? Heather? All those for? Passes 7-0.
And once again, just a very heartfelt thank you to those 2 ladies for all of their years of service.
Can we clap?
Next up, we do have some resignations at the elementary First up, a recommendation to approve the resignation of Jamie Davis as elementary third grade teacher effective the last school day of the 21-22 school year.
Take a motion. Martha? Second, Scott? All those for? Passes 7-0.
Next up is a recommendation to approve the resignation of Ashley Goodman as elementary preschool teacher effective May 20th, 2022.
Motion? Heather? Second, Scott? All those for? 7-0, pass.
Next up, we have a recommendation to approve the resignation of Jennifer Kreitz as Title I teaching assistant effective March 11th, 2022.
Need a motion? Scott? Second, Matt? All those for? Passes 7-0.
Have a recommendation to approve the resignation of Brittany Robertson as preschool instructional assistant effective March 25th, 2022.
Motion? Scott? Second? Sharon? Motion, Mike? All those for? Passes 7-0.
Recommendation to approve the resignation of Gregory Burton as high school behavior interventionist and girls basketball coach effective February 17th, 2022.
Take a motion? Scott? Need a second? Matt? All those for? Passes 7-0.
Next, we have a recommendation to approve the resignation of Cassandra Linville as the Thunderbird Honor Society sponsor at the end of the 21-22 school year.
Need a motion? Matt? Second? Heather? All those for? Passes 7-0.
Okay. And we do want to say thank you to all of those people too for their years of service. Greatly appreciated. Now we have some recommendations for employment where you'll see some of these people that just resigned getting replaced. So recommendation to hire Jalen Wagler as Title I instructional assistant beginning March 22nd, 2022.
Need a motion? Scott? And second? Heather? All those for? Passes 7-0.
Next up, a recommendation to hire Christy Johnson as Title I instructional assistant beginning March 22nd, 2022.
Motion, Mike Adams. Second, Scott. All those for? Passes 7-0.
Next, a recommendation to hire Irene Birch as the Thunderbird Honor Society sponsor for the 22-23 school year.
Motion, Sharon. Second, Martha. All those for? Passes 7-0.
Next up are some high school football coaches to recommend. We have Justin Scheller as an assistant coach, Danny Teakin as an assistant coach, Michael Love as an assistant coach, JC Lewis, assistant coach, Mark Freeman, volunteer assistant coach, and Jake Williams, volunteer assistant coach.
Motion, Mike. Need a second, Matt. All those for? Passes 7-0.
Next up is a recommendation to hire Jared Tiemann as a softball volunteer assistant coach for the spring softball season.
Motion, Mike. Yes. Second, Scott. All those for? Passes 7-0.
Next up, we have a recommendation to hire Leslie Kimmel for the middle school guidance counselor's position effective July 2022. And for those of you who may or may not know her, I believe she started her career at Eastern as a teacher and a coach. My son had the Yeah,
TA.
it's a TA?
Yeah.
Okay. My son actually had the opportunity to be one of her students at BNL. She was a counselor there and did a wonderful job with him making the transition there when we moved to Southern Indiana. So I think we're going to enjoy having her here.
Need a motion? Sharon? Second, Martha? All those for? Passes 7-0.
And I was pleasantly surprised. We did have a good group of candidates for that position. I think we interviewed 4, I think, and actually had some more candidates that we didn't even interview, and Leslie rose to the top. So I think we did very well. Okay, next up we have recommendation for some high school baseball coaches for the spring 22 season. We have CJ Shelton as a volunteer assistant coach and Heath Snyder as a volunteer assistant coach.
Need a motion? Matt? Second? Heather? All those for?
What's that, DAB?
Baseball instead of basketball.
Differentiates.
Say baseball there.
What's your vote, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a baseball coach teach that to me, so. The basketball is the same letter.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but it's a capital B. B-A-B means baseball. I didn't argue, I just said.
They have baseball in the first line.
She just wants to make sure we know. Okay, that was 7-0?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, we have some donations. Once again, we thank, it seems like we always have donations every month, and that's just a wonderful thing at this school. You don't always see that, so thank you very much for all of our generous community. Eastern Green Boys Basketball Booster Club donating $943 to high school boys basketball. I believe they're using that for travel suits for the boys. And then Rob and Debbie Martindale donating $100 to the Nancy Hacker and Hunter Roberts Memorial Fund.
Need a motion? Scott? Second? Martha? All those for? Passes 7-0.
Okay. We do have just a couple late items, both personnel. First one is to recommend to approve the hiring of Michael Hartman as a behavioral interventionist for the middle school / high school effective March 22nd. This is the position that is being resigned by Greg Burton. Michael has subbed for us quite a bit this year. He helped coach high school boys basketball. He's done a great job in both of those and is actually getting his degree in school counseling. So it's a perfect fit for what this job entails. So I make that recommendation.
Motion, Heather?
That's promotion.
That means
I'm anxious too.
Sharon?
Okay, Heather, yeah.
All those for? 7-0 pass?
And last one is making a recommendation to approve the hiring of Travis Ray as high school special education teacher effective the 22-23 school year. This is a position being vacated by Teresa Butler's retirement. Travis has also been approved to be our high school football coach, so good to have him here as a teacher also.
Scott? Need a second? Heather? All those for? Passes 7-0.
That is it for late items, so we're on to discussion. Yeah. I know Mrs. Gibney had to leave early, so she's not here. I know Mr. Alt is not here. High school, anything? Mr. Kirkendall?
Try not to. I promise. She lets me have it. I would be remiss. What's that?
You have to wear that.
Well, they're still an attorney. I'm sorry.
So are the items.
I rooted for IU too. I did.
Yeah, sure you are.
It's not as hard. I'd be remiss to. I would be remiss not to acknowledge the commitment and dedication of both Mrs. Finn and Mrs. Butler. If you really stop and think about it, Gail Finn had 22 years of service here at Eastern Green. Teresa Butler had 34 years of service. If you stop and think about the amount of lives that these teachers have impacted, the quality of life that they have improved through their tutelage and their instruction, it's incredibly humbling. So I just wanted to tell both of them just how honored I was to be working with them. I know Gail, I wanted to thank her for 22 years of service. She served students of the community in multiple ways, including English teacher, and her contribution has been greatly appreciated. I know she plans on doing some traveling now that she's retired, and so I wish her the best of luck and congratulations on a remarkable career. This next one's going to be probably a little bit harder for me, just because I've worked with her very closely this year. Teresa Butler has served the community for 34 years, and she's a wealth of knowledge. She has, in many cases, I've gone to her with that 34 years of experience to ask some guidance, especially when it comes to special education policy. She's an amazing person with a lot of poise and patience, a lot of patience, not only to deal with some of the learning disabilities that she has to deal with, but also a principal that comes to her and sometimes says, "What are we doing here?" I know she's working on her PhD, and she plans to continue working at the collegiate level. So I just want to wish her the best of luck. One real quick story, just kind of show you the dedication that she had. About 2 years ago, we were shut down, and she had a caseload of, I want to say, close to 7 to 10 students. That she did an inclusive, a self-contained class, and we had never seen a pandemic before. We had no clue what to do, and she said, "How do I serve these students?" And I said, "Do the best you can." That woman, when you think about, so 7 to 10 students you're looking at roughly about 49 classes. She built Google Classrooms and met with each of those kids on a daily basis, making sure that the most vulnerable of our community were served. And that is an amazing legacy to leave. And so I just want to commend both of them and congratulate both of them on their accomplishments in their retirement. So last but not least, I also want to thank our maintenance men, David Fields, Josh Schlosser, and Todd Inman. I know they put in a lot of hours over the break. We have a stage for graduation. It looks beautiful. I invite the board to stop by the high school to take a look at it and see what the community dollars paid for. It's a great thing for our students and our community. And then finally, just want to wish our sports teams this spring, baseball, softball, track, and girls golf, the best of luck as they start their seasons. So thank you. Was that quick enough? All right, good.
Anything else, Jim?
I've just got a couple things to piggyback on Mr. Kirkendall's statement about the stage that came in. We were renting a stage every year for graduation, and I think sometimes it was kind of a crapshoot on what we got, whether it was going to be decent or not. So to spend the money on that could also be used for many other things, choir, band, things like that. It's a very, very nice stage that we got. So happy to be able to do that for the corporation. Want to say congratulations to the dance team, high school dance team that was able to go and represent Eastern Green at state at Lafayette Jeff. So congratulations there. I can't remember where they finished, but I think they did pretty well. So, fifth? Awesome. Yeah, awesome. Band and I believe choir students went to solo and ensemble and did an awesome job there. So I saw on Facebook lots of gold ratings. So congratulations to them. Best of luck to spring sports. Those are, official practices have started, and we'll have some games here pretty quick. So congratulations, or best of luck to them. I believe that's all I have.
Scott? Martha?
No, thanks, Gail.
Sharon?
Yeah, well, thanks to Gail, and I also just wanted to say to Teresa that we were hired either the same year or very close, so we kind of grew up together through special ed, and so wish her the best of luck in her next adventure.
Matt? Heather? Mike? I just want to make mention of, if you've been out by the baseball and softball fields, all of the work that Josh Whitfield has done. I've followed his work, the number of hours he spent in the mud, pouring concrete, backfilling concrete, gravel, everything else to get those ready for our kids to be able to play and have improved facilities for this summer. Just want to commend him and thank him for the effort. He's had some help, I know, from David and Josh and Todd, but Josh and his crew have spent a lot of hours up here working to get that ready to go. So, Josh, thank you very much.
Yeah, and I'll have some more to add to that next month. I was going to wait till we had everything completed because I know there's some other groups that have donated time to those fields. So I'll have a list of some people to thank next month for that also.
Excellent. All right. I have 8:31 as our adjournment time. Need a motion? Scott? Second? Martha? All those for? We're out of here.
Thank you, everybody.